Hello, friends. Welcome back. My name is Robert. I believe none of us came here by coincidence. We've met in this space through this podcast for a reason. Maybe it's because there's something you need to hear today, something that will reach you at just the right moment. And let me begin with one sentence that will be the heart of today's talk. Your life is not an accident. There's a reason you're still breathing today.
How many times have you woken up in the morning and asked yourself, why am I still here? What's the point of all this? Maybe you feel like life is heavy, like everyone else is moving forward while you're stuck behind. Or maybe you feel the world is loud, but your heart feels empty. Let me tell you this, you are not alone. Almost everyone, even those who look strong, successful, and happy, has once stood at that point when they questioned the very meaning of their existence.
The problem is, we often trap ourselves in a narrow perspective. We judge our whole life based only on today. If today is a failure, we feel like failures forever. If today hurts, we think pain will last forever. I remember a friend of mine. Let's call him Andy. He once lost his job suddenly. Not only did he lose his job, but also his confidence. Every morning he woke up empty, asking why life was so unfair. But here's the interesting part. A few months later, he discovered a new opportunity he had never imagined before. That opportunity came only because he had lost his job. Today, Andy is doing work that makes him happier and more fulfilled than ever before. What does this mean? Sometimes what feels like the end is actually the door to a new beginning. But let's be honest. When you are right in the middle of the storm, it is almost impossible to see the sunlight. The days feel endlessly heavy. The nights stretch on in silence, and every thought in your head whispers the same thing. Maybe this is all there is. Maybe nothing will ever change. You see, pain has a way of narrowing our vision. When we are hurt, our world shrinks. We no longer see possibilities, only problems. We no longer see hope, only hopelessness. And that is the most dangerous part. Not the storm itself, but the belief that the storm will never pass. Think about the times you felt stuck in your own life. Maybe you worked so hard, but everything still slipped through your hands. Maybe you gave your heart to someone, only to be left broken. Maybe you dreamed so big, only to be told 1,000 times that you weren't good enough. And in those moments, didn't it feel like the walls were closing in on you? Didn't it feel like the universe had forgotten your name? But here's the truth. What feels like the end is often just the middle. What feels like a dead end might be a bend in the road. Imagine reading a thick novel with hundreds of pages. On page 37, the main character loses everything. Their family, their job, their dream. If you close the book there, you'd believe the story is only about tragedy. But what if you keep reading? Maybe on page 200, you'd see that all that pain became the very reason for the character's strength. Maybe the loss was the seed of something extraordinary.
And that's exactly how our lives work. Right now, you might be on page 37. Right now, your story may feel like chaos, like heartbreak, like defeat. But this is not the last page. Your story is still unfolding.
The danger lies not in failure, but in believing that failure defines the whole book. The danger is not in the pain itself, but in convincing yourself that pain is permanent. Remember this: storms don't last forever. Night always gives way to morning. And even if you can't see it yet, even if everything still feels dark, the very fact that you are still breathing means your story is still moving forward. Here's the key. The fact that you are still breathing today is not random. It is not meaningless. It is a sign. Every breath you take is proof that your story isn't finished yet. You may not see the bigger picture now. You may feel lost, broken, or confused, but as long as there is breath in your lungs, there is purpose in your life. Now the question is, how do you begin to step out of the storm and move toward that purpose? The answer is not about having everything figured out. You don't need to know the full plan. You don't need to have all the answers. All you need is the courage to take one small step forward. Let me share with you 3 things that can guide you on this journey. 1. Stop comparing your timeline with others. We live in a world where everyone seems to be racing. Social media makes it look like everyone else has already made it. The perfect job, the perfect family, the perfect life. And when you compare yourself to them, it feels like you're always behind. But here's the truth. Life is not a race. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on your timeline, and your story is unique. Flowers don't bloom all at the same time, yet each one is beautiful when its season arrives. 2. Learn to value the small steps. Too often, we dismiss the little things we do. Waking up despite feeling heavy, showing up at work even when it's hard, smiling at someone when you're hurting inside. But these small acts are not meaningless. They're seeds. One step may not look like much, but 1,000 small steps will take you further than you ever imagined. The mountain is not climbed in one leap, but in steady steps that no one applauds except the mountain itself. 3. Trust the process, even when you can't see the end. This may be the hardest part. We want results immediately. We want answers right now. But life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Sometimes the waiting, the uncertainty, and even the pain are shaping you in ways you can't yet understand. Think of a seed planted in the soil. For weeks, it looks like nothing is happening. It's hidden in the dark, surrounded by dirt. But beneath the surface, roots are growing, strength is forming, and one day, it will break through into the light. Maybe right now, you are that seed, hidden, silent, growing. And here, I want to share a story. There was a man named Nick Vujicic. He was born without arms and legs. Imagine that for a moment. Growing up as a child, unable to walk, unable to hold things, constantly being stared at, constantly being bullied. At one point, he was so overwhelmed by hopelessness that he even tried to end his life. But then, something changed. Nick realized that as long as he was still breathing, his life still had meaning. He began to take small steps, learning to adapt, to write with his toes, to speak in front of small groups. Over time, those small steps grew into something extraordinary. Today, Nick Vujicic is a motivational speaker who has traveled to more than 60 countries, inspiring millions of people with his story. He is married, a father, and proof that limitations do not define a person's worth. Now here's the powerful part.
Imagine if Nick had given up when life seemed unbearable. Imagine if he believed the lie that his existence was meaningless. The world would have lost one of the brightest lights of hope. And this is not just Nick's story. It can be your story too, because the same truth applies. If you are still breathing, then your life is not over. Your story still has chapters left to be written. So remember, you don't need to have it all figured out. Start with one step, just one, then another and another. Because sometimes the difference between despair and destiny is simply the decision to keep breathing. My friend, never believe that your existence is meaningless. Your life is not an accident. You were placed here for a reason. That reason might be simple, like making someone smile today. Or it could be big, like changing lives through your ideas, your work, or your kindness. But one thing is certain. Every breath is a reminder that God, or the universe, or whatever you believe in, is still giving you the chance to find that purpose.
So today, if you feel tired, I want you to pause, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say in your heart, I'm still here. I'm still breathing. And that means my story isn't over. Remember, don't quit on page 37, because the best chapter of your life may just begin on page 38. Thank you for listening. I hope this message can be a reminder that your life is not an accident and there's a beautiful reason why you're still breathing today. Until we meet again in the next episode, keep breathing, keep walking, and discover the meaning of your life.